The Apollo 11 with all going well. Astronauts Armstrong, Collins, and Aldrin sitting there atop the great Saturn rocket in their command module, getting ready for launch. Here's Jack King and Launch Control.
Counting. Skip Chauvin informing the astronauts that the swing arm now coming back. The astronauts will have a few more reports coming up in the countdown. The last business report will be from Neil Armstrong at the 45-second mark in the count when he gives the status on the final alignment of the stabilization and control system. We're now passing the 4-minute, 30-second mark in the countdown. Still go at this time. Four minutes, 15 seconds. The test supervisor now has informed launch vehicle test conductor Norm Carlson you are go for launch. From this time down, Carlson handles the countdown as the launch vehicle begins to build up. We're now hitting the 4-minute mark. 4 minutes and counting. We are go for Apollo 11. We'll go on an automatic sequence starting at 3 minutes and 7 seconds.
The engines that generate that thrust combined horsepower equal to 543 jet fighter planes. Their launch vehicle there weighs as much as the submarine Nautilus. They burn 5,662,000 pounds of fuel, the equivalent of 98 railroad tank cars of it, the capacity of a small town's water tank. Liftoff, the noise reaches 120 decibels and has been compared to 8 million hi-fi sets playing for us.
We are on the automatic sequence. We're approaching the 3-minute mark in the count. T-minus 3 minutes in counting. T-minus 3. We are go with all elements of the mission at this time. We're on the automatic sequence as the master computer supervises hundreds of events that occur over these last few minutes. 2 minutes, 45 seconds in counting. Amongst the launch team, fuel cell and auto remember what we call red line values and tolerances. We don't want to go above and below temperatures and pressures. Standing by to call out any deviations from our plans. 2 minutes, 30 seconds and counting. We'll still go on Apollo 11 at this time. Vehicle starting to pressurize as far as the team is concerned. All is still go. Monitor our status quo. 2 minutes, 10 seconds and counting. The target for Apollo 11 has been reached. The moon at liftoff will be at a distance of 218,000 miles. Status quo indicates the third stage completely pressurized. 80 second mark is now been passed. We go on third internal power at the 50-second mark in the countdown. Guidance system goes on internal at 17 seconds, leading up to the ignition sequence of 8.9 seconds. We're approaching the 60-second mark on the Apollo 11 mission. 60 seconds and T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So far, doesn't it, Willie? Very good, very good. That's
beautifully on the screen here.
We're through the region of maximum dynamic pressure now. Set 8 miles downrange.
not sure whether I'm a fan of looking at it on the screen or looking at it.
For the dropping the first stage, going to the second stage power. Hailing from the capsule communicator, astronaut Ken Mattingly at the Mission Control in Houston, talking to the astronaut.
Range 35 miles, 30 miles high, 95
And this is reporting, this is Zach Riley reporting the voice of Mission Control.
Houston, thrusters go, all engines, you're looking good. Roger, you're not clearing it. We got 3 minutes downrange, 70 miles, 43 miles high, 300 feet. We got that now. Roger, we confirm, sir. Yep.
Should have had the launch escape system.
Touchdown. We are confirming both the engine separation and the launch escape tower separation. Roger that.
What was that?
The visual simulation is playing. Look at the
Houston, you're good. You're looking good.
Please protect the cover.
Second stage is 5 big Canadian 125,000 pounds thrust. Amazing camera the space agency has there. You can still see that spacecraft, and at this point it's almost 93 miles high,
72 miles high, velocity 11,000 feet per second.
almost 8,000 miles an hour. It's got to get up to 17,500 foot Earth orbit. Got another 4 minutes before the first
Houston, level sense arm at 8+17. Outboard cut off at 9+11.
They've got it.
What do you see with jumping around there, Wally?
Something like gauges are jumping around. I'm not sure what the
Level sense
significance
arm
is.
is the sequence that arranges the staging between the second stage and the third stage. Fuel uncovers a sensor starting that sequence.
I'm sure it's not of major significance other than the fact that
Predicting that will be uncovered
amplitude
in 8
before.
minutes 17 seconds.
You've got to look at the...
Cut off 9 minutes 11 seconds on the
Got a
second
minute.
stage.
Look at the empty launch pad with some of those 325,000 gallons of water that pour over it to cool it.
Ground at 7 minutes. Level sense arm at 8+17. Outboard cut off at 9+11.
So good is this deluge system.
Downrange 530 miles,
So complicated,
altitude
isn't it?
95 miles, velocity 17,358 feet per second.
That it's capable of keeping damage to a minimum on the pad, and they can turn around and use those service stands almost instantly.
Yes, it's quite a change. We used to take quite a while to repair the pads
Still right
nowadays.
down the ground track, still go at 7 minutes 41 seconds.
We'll miss the first of the burn. Roger, we confirm.
Inboard engines are out on the second stage as planned.
Looks like another perfect Saturn V launch. What a feat they've come to with these Saturns after the early days of Mercury and even Gemini. But these Saturns on-time launches. I wish we could get American railroads to run on the kind of schedule that Von Braun, Davis and company have got these Apollos launched on.
You know what is amazing is the fact that we finally have man-rated boosters here. We borrowed those.
Your go at 8 minutes.
I've just got the picture here.
Roger, we got PU shift down here too.
Nice day for it. These thunderstorms downrange is about all.
This is Houston. You are go for staging. Over.
Route for 10 seconds away from S4B.
Stand by for mode 4 capability.
Now this should be the firing of the S4B in just 15 seconds.
Mode 4 on Apollo 11 could get into orbit using the service propulsion system.
PDQ 602 up here.
Altitude is 100 miles, downrange 883 miles.
PDQ
Outboard engine cut off.
602. And ignition.
There it is, ignition right on top, right on the top.
Thrusters go, 11.
700 PSI. 697. There we are.
And we have a good third stage now.
This burn lasts 2 minutes and 25 seconds, and that brings the vehicle to its orbital speed of 17,500 miles an hour, up a couple of thousand miles an hour from where it was before.
23,128 feet per second. Downrange 1,000 miles, altitude 101 miles.
D1 is on number 5, if you look. Chuck, 718.
This third stage is a J2 engine, develops 225,000 pounds
This
of
is
thrust.
Houston. At 10 minutes, you are go.
That,
Roger, 11, go.
I think I misidentified the capsule communicator a moment ago.
D1's on line 5, Chuck.
The man who is communicating with the astronauts from Mission Control in Houston, Group Mechanics.
Apollo 11, this is Houston. Predicted cutoff at 11 plus 42. Over.
1142, Rich. Downrange 1,175 miles. Velocity 24,190 feet per second. Altitude 102 nautical miles.
All right.
There is former President Johnson
Work out.
saying
Apollo 11
goodbyes to
still
a few of his friends in the stands.
Apollo 11, this is Houston. You are go at
He,
11.
sharing with Vice President Agnew the positions of honor here. He's the official representative of President Nixon. Vice President Agnew is the top official of the administration here. We should get confirmation of orbital insertion in about 15 seconds now.
Altitude 102.8 nautical miles. Shut down right on time.
1.4 by 103.6.
Roger, shut down, and we copy 101.4 by 103.6.
101.4 by 103.6, so that would be in nautical miles. The orbit for the spacecraft has been confirmed. They are in Earth orbit. They've made the first big jump on their trip to land on the moon, and Vice President Agnew is seen there on your screen.
Houston, the booster is safe.
That's another good sign when I say the booster is safe. That's quite significant to us. It means that the destruct system has been shut off by a command from the ground, so that S4B cannot destroy the spacecraft. It's designed, of course, if we abort away to disperse the propellants in that S4B, and we have an escape route, of course, with the escape tower or with burning away from it. It's kind of nice to know it's shut off.
At this point, of course, now that they are in Earth orbit, their return could be a normal return to a selected landing spot by jettisoning the S4B third stage and then going on their service propulsion system engine.
Just as we were on the Earth orbital flights.
Right.
The very same thing.
So this first, always dramatic and obviously with a great explosive potential of all of that fuel, the dangerous launch phase is past, and Apollo 11 is on the way.
We're looking good, over.
That's Tom Stafford there. Yes, it is.
Yeah. Tom, of course, the pilot on, the commander on Apollo 10 that paved the way for this flight with Vice President Agnew and his party. Tom has been kind of the chief briefing officer for the VVVIPs these last couple of days. See him coming in and out of the hotel there and the Hilton, and he's constantly running off to make some more notes to brief another important visitor.
I think Tom would probably say V cubed IP.
Well, we remarked earlier that it got to that with all of the foreign dignitaries, the congressmen, the cabinet members, the senators, the governors and mayors here.
Apollo 11, this is Houston Vanguard LOS at 1535, AOS Canaries at 1630, over.
That report is on the LOS.
We still have...
LOS is the loss of signal from the Vanguard. That's one of the tracking ships out in the Atlantic to the acquisition of signal in the Canary Islands.
From the instrument unit of the third stage of Saturn V. Here on the ground, we're showing an orbit of 102.5 by 99.7 nautical miles. The flight dynamics officer, Dave Reed, wants to get some radar tracking to refine this orbit, and he will report a refined orbit after more radar tracking.
That's very near nominal, didn't it, Wally? 102.5 by 99.7. That's almost that 116 miles, statute miles.
Yes,
high.
it is. I think you'll notice the figures differ. It's because the radar data hasn't been smoothed yet. The onboard data is probably more nearly correct at this point.
The 101.4, 103.6.
Right.
It really doesn't, it's not critical at this point, the difference in those of 1 or 2 miles in the Earth orbit, as long as they're in approximately the right position over the Pacific on that second orbit to fire off the S4B third stage and boost their speed from 17,500 to 25,000 miles an hour, which will put them on their way to the moon. That moon trajectory speed is just enough to escape enough of the Earth's gravity to be captured by the moon's gravity, to be brought around the far side of the moon, and then with enough inertial speed to come back to Earth, but not go into moon orbit, nor be going so fast that you bypass the moon and are not captured by its gravity and go on out to the sun, which is what the S-4B will do.
Yes, that's correct. Oh, here we are.
Yeah, those figures translate the last figures to 118 by 120 statute miles, a little bit higher than they had calculated, I think, but by less than a couple of miles and well within range. So we've seen another beautiful Saturn launch, but this one will never be known in history or by those of us who watched it as just another Saturn V launch. Not if all goes well, because this is the flight from which man will first set foot on the moon. We almost glibly toss that line away now, man on the moon. But by golly, just think it over. CBS News color coverage of the launch day of Apollo 11 will continue in a moment.